time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Nielsen and Tommy Gazzola with you, and once again, as always, The Oil Stream brought to you by our wonderful partners at the always growing Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. And nothing says being in Cranbrook, BC by not having a Popeye's chicken sandwich. Mind you, they're building one here. Not the same group, not Furby and the boys, but there is a Popeye's coming to Cranbrook, BC, which is huge news for this city, Tommy.
It's going to be wild. And for everybody that loves fried chicken, they're going to have their minds blown. I had the good fortune of going through Cranbrook, stopping there on my way down to Coeur d'Alene.
Did.
I text you. I'm like, I'm in Cranbrook. It's very nice. Like, I mean, I didn't like explore the city. I'm sure it has its like industrial areas and, you know, I'm assuming it's a blue collar town. Lumber business is probably a big thing there, right, Dusty?
Used to be huge. Used to be huge. Yeah, it used to be a huge lumber community. But
from what I saw, I was like, hey, this looks pretty nice. And that one, I can't remember, is it the West Hills? There's some really nice developments on that one side of the hill.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, it's coming around, buddy. It's coming around. It's a beautiful mountain community. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like outdoors, there's lakes, there's mountains, there's trails. You can hunt. Golf courses all over the place. It's actually not bad.
What was the lake on your way to the border? There's a big lake on the right-hand side.
That would have probably been Moyer.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's a really nice lake.
Moyer's a great lake. Wausau's is a great lake too, but Moyer's a great lake, yeah.
I've been to your hometown.
There you go. You know, buddy. You know all about it. That's great. Did you see how when you drive in, it says "Welcome to Cranbrook," and then in small pen right underneath Cranbrook, I put "Home of Dustin Nielsen." I don't know if you could have picked up on that.
I saw it. I was looking for it though.
Yeah. There's not a lot of else going on here outside, you know, the Nita Myers and Tom Rennie and Jason Marshall. I think won a Stanley Cup. Brad Lukowicz was here. John Clem.
John Clem.
Yeah, a bunch of Stanley Cups here for quite some time in Cranbrook, BC. So that's big.
As
for Popeye's, brand new location coming West Edmonton Mall as well. So make sure you're watching for that.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy. We've got lots to get to today, and we actually have some Oilers news that broke shortly after the Oil Stream on Wednesday, and that is Kyler Yamamoto signing 2 years, 3.1 per for a total of 6.2. Tommy, did you expect this contract to be longer at all, or do you think 2 years is really all that both sides maybe were looking for at this point?
The 2 years, I figured it would be, there was a real possibility there'd be more than the Puljujarvi 1 year. Like, I think there was an appetite to keep Yamamoto longer. And I still think he's trying to find himself and really establish himself on the roster. I mean, he's got a good foothold on the top six. And after the 20 goals, 41 points, he had a good showing towards the end of the last season. I mean, there was that one stretch early in the year when the team was just terrible and slumping, and we waxed poetic about it. But he didn't have a shot for, 7 or 8 games?
Yeah,
he came around. Wild. He came around. So consistency will be a big thing. And he didn't get big money. He got respectable money, kind of what the market is set for a 40-point guy, 20 goals scored, doing it for the first time. So now it's, hey, can you do it again? Can you do it consistently? Can you improve upon those numbers? It's up to Kyler Yamamoto to make it happen. So not really surprised about the 2 years, Dusty. I think that's easy to swallow as well. And the money comes in right around where we expected it to, just a smidge more than Jesse Puljujarvi, because those two have kind of been like this ever since they become Oilers.
Do you think, like, Yamamoto, his agent, would be like, it's got to come in a little bit more than Jesse Puljujarvi? So the Oilers are like, how about $100,000? And then they're like, done, sign it. Like, like, part of me thinks that sure seems petty, but at the same time, I kind of get it, right? Like, if you're Yamo's agent, you're not saying we're coming in for any less than Jesse Puljujarvi. So the others say, well, how about a little bit more? You know what I mean?
it can get that detailed. I don't know if this necessarily did, but negotiations can get that way, and there could be guys who look at their peers and go, I need a little bit more than that guy, and teams are like, okay, I guess we'll make that happen for $100,000 more per year. He did command a bit more just by reaching a couple of plateaus, the 20 goals, the 40 points, like we talked about. even though he's still in the same ballpark as Puljujarvi. So to say it really did happen, I would say it's possible. I don't know if it necessarily did occur. I think it's kind of funny, but it kind of plays into how we thought it would turn out, and just slightly more than Puljujarvi, and they got the deal done. And here we are. Now the last domino ready to fall is Ryan McLeod. And then, Dusty, that's going to lead to discussion about what does this roster look like by the time we get to Game 1 on October 12th.
Well, I believe it was Ken Holland with JMO and Low Tide yesterday, and I think I was recording Two Guys and a Goalie at the time when he was on, so I haven't had a chance to go back and listen. But somebody asked a question, because we're going to get to some questions, so let's just get to one now, because McLeod still has to get done. I believe the question was from Carmen on Twitter. I could be wrong. And if you're watching right now on the live stream, feel free to ask a question. We can fit a few in. I think Ken Holland said that he's not necessarily sure he has to make any more moves. So with McLeod getting done, Tommy, do you think there's any way they can manipulate a roster and a cap to roll with like 21 guys and maybe hide the odd guy here or there to try to get through the season with the current roster that they have? Or do you think something has to give?
A couple of things there, because I finally checked in with some people because it's been a while and, everybody's on holidays, but doesn't sound like there's anything really major percolating. So people hoping for a big signing. It sounds like things are pretty quiet right now, and it's that time of year in the National Hockey League calendar, although all these arbitration cases are coming up.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, and I had brought up this whole notion of the cap and all of that, if they can't make a trade to alleviate some cap space, Fogle, Puljujarvi, it's not going to be Tyson Barrie. What do you do then? How do you get in under the cap? And what was thrown out to me was the possibility of a reduced roster, 21 guys. Not ideal. So cap gymnastics, like you were alluding to, as of right now, it's something that might have to happen. Is it ideal at all? No. And I think they would probably like to avoid that. But
well, you have to think, and I don't want to be the guy who's like, well, injuries are going to happen. But injuries are going to happen along the way, right? And if a guy who's a little bit more expensive gets injured, it kind of buys you some time on the cap if you want to run with a little bit of a shorter roster at times. Yep. So you know what we need? We need Hart from Puckpedia to let us know if they could make it work throughout the entire year if they just ran a short roster and were very careful with guys. Like I like the idea of Ken Holland and all of his cap people sitting down and trying to save like between $4,000 to $6,000 a day on an $81 million payroll. Yeah. I think that would be incredible.
Oh my God. I would be just stressed out because A, I'm bad with numbers, and B, like to project that and calculate that type of situation day to day. My goodness. But that's why the capologists are there. They're the ones crunching the numbers, making sure everything plays out and everything's kosher. So, I love the term cap gymnastics, and we may need to see this team perform them. Otherwise, they're in a bit of a bind here, which is not good. But at the same time, you need to put a competitive team on the ice, and they think they've got one.
It's a good roster. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's get to your Boston Pizza appetizer. Of course, the patio is open. Come on, weekend in Edmonton or wherever you're at, go hit up a BP's patio. Get yourself in on Appy Hour from 2 to 5 and then 9 to close every single day. And some very exciting news. I've ordered some new broadcasting equipment for the Oil Stream, and we will be on location at Boston Pizza. Let me give you the details on this, and you're going to see more details on it over the next 3 weeks. We're going to hammer this. We'd like to get a bunch of you out to join us on Wednesday, August 24th. We're going to be at the Capilano Boston Pizza for an Oil Stream at high noon, okay? We'll probably be there a little bit before setting up, but if you're in that area or you want to make the trip across, let's do it. So join us Wednesday, August 24th, Capilano Boston Pizza for the first ever live Oil Stream. First of many live Oil Streams, as we're going to be doing one every month at a different Boston Pizza location. Capilano on the 24th. We want a bunch of you to be out there. I think it'd be great. You can ask questions in person and stuff. It'll be a good time. And Tommy, this is exciting, isn't it?
It's very exciting. And I mean, nerd alert, getting new gear, but
yeah. I got
just
headsets
kinda,
coming in, buddy. We're gonna have
that's awesome.
really nice headsets. So
I'm very excited. I'm very like I this is cool taking our show on the road. I've been cooped up at the home studio, the TSN satellite studios, as I like to joke and call them. But and you're in your parents' basement. Otherwise, you're doing it from your basement or
I'm a
at
big
a
basement guy. What can I say?
Hey, the basement is a very comfortable place. But to take the show on the road, hopefully see some of our viewers and listeners and get a chance to actually catch up with them and shoot the shit with them in person, I think is really cool. And it's kind of a nice way to start things off on location at BP's, because the Capilano BP's, Dusty, as a guy who went to high school at Austin O'Brien, which is in the Otwell Capilano area, that's where we used to go at times. And I remember skipping class to go watch the 2002 Olympics, and we would always go to BP's. And I remember watching that game where Tommy Salo let in that goal against Belarus. I was watching at the Capilano BP's, and then I think the Canada game, the semifinal before they went to the gold medal game, I was at that BP's. And Eva Gazzola, my mom, actually was the secretary at AOB.
Do the voice. Do the voice.
I'll do the voice. So I'm a Northside kid. I went to St. Cecilia Junior High. I was supposed to go to O'Leary, and my mom works for Edmonton Catholic Schools. She still does. She was a secretary at high schools back then. She was at St. Joe's. I was going into high school, and I'm like, Mom, am I just going to O'Leary or what? She's like, I am not letting you go to high school with all your hockey friends, your cousin, and all your Italian friends. You're going somewhere else. And I was like, what? And she's like, that's right, Tommy. And I'm like, well, then I'll come to St. Joe's. And they had just started the self-paced learning program. Yeah. And she's like, there's no way in hell you're going to St. Joe's. You'll never make it. And I'm like, well, where am I going to high school? This is bullshit. And she's like, you're going to Austin O'Brien, where your Uncle Jerry works. And, Uncle Jerry is actually my mom's cousin. And he was the vice principal at AOB. And I wound up there. And I swear to God, I maybe talked to him like 3 times. He would just be, if I saw him in the hallway, he'd be like, hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry.
Glad I went to school here.
Yeah. And then the kicker is the summer going into grade 11, I get home one day and my mom's like, guess where I'm working next year? And I was like, please help me, God. Do not say AOB. She's like, I am the new secretary at Austin O'Brien. And I was like, oh my God.
Your mom's a huge creeper, buddy. What can I say?
Dude, so she would let me skip to go watch those games because it was 11th grade. And I shit you not, my mom would watch the security cameras and she knew which days I had spares because I had a ton of spares. And I would do whatever. Sometimes I would do extra gym class or something stupid like that, or go for lunch. And if I was just sitting in the caf or walking around during a class or a block, all I hear on the intercom would be, Tommy Gazzola to the office?
No.
Tommy Gazzola to the office.
Come on.
And I would just be like, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh, that is the best.
Yeah, and I would walk in. I'm like, what? And she's like, shouldn't you be studying for your test? Don't you have a test today? I had, at one point in 11th grade, I had 35%. We had to take religion till grade 11.
Yeah.
I had like a 35% going into the last day of availability to enter your marks and stuff into classes for the year. And I was on the cusp of failing religion 20. And my mom's like, Mrs. Parr-Hunick says if you get all your missing assignments in by today, she will mark them and give you a mark. I got like a 51% and just passed religion.
Seriously?
20. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I had to really get into that Bible and talk about JC a lot, but we got her done.
Steve McCarthy was the captain of the World Junior team, and he was in high school with us here in Cranbrook.
Yeah.
Failed leadership class. Think about that for a second. And leadership class was a bogus course anyway. Like, you organize intramurals and you do all that shit. And the running joke was that the captain of the World Junior team failed leadership in grade 11 or 12. It was wild. I guess his mom wasn't there to help him get it done. So yeah, that's funny. The Tommy Salo goal, just quickly. I was down in my girlfriend's dorm room at BCIT. She was in class, and I had snuck down from Lethbridge to see her. I didn't tell my parents. I flew down to go see her, and that was during the Olympics. So I watched. She was gone. She had this shitty little TV in her closet, and I watched the Tommy Salo goal just in that. I remember it was pouring rain at the BCIT campus, and Salo off the head and over. It was unbelievable. So then, that was the first time I'd been on a plane. So I fly back to Lethbridge, continue with school, and then my parents, like 4 weeks later, surprised me with a flight to go down and see her again. And I had to pretend that I'd never been on an airplane before, so they didn't catch on that I'd just gone down there a month earlier. So yeah, it was
Nice.
it was an awkward situation, that's for sure. But we all have memories around Tommy Salo and the goal, I guess is what we should say. And well, Tommy's at Capilano Boston Pizza. We are going to be there August 24th at noon. We'll be set up in the lounge, so come on in, have a beverage, have some lunch with us, and we'll get ready to set up the Oilers. They'll be a couple weeks away from rookie camp and everything getting going, so it'll be a good time. As for the Boston Pizza appetizer, this time, Kyler Yamamoto, Tommy, I feel like it's very easy to just say he's going to play right wing with Leon Draisaitl, and that's where it's best, and that's where he's played the majority of his time. As he started to have success in the National Hockey League. Do you think it's that simple, or where do you think Yamamoto best fits in this lineup?
Yeah, Dusty, I do think it's pretty straightforward. Like, we don't have to overthink it. If Kyler Yamamoto even has a terrible training camp, he's got the benefit of the doubt at this point. After, what he's been able to put together in terms of a body of work. Is it outstanding? No, it's, marked with blemishes. Absolutely. I think everybody, even the player himself, would admit that. But he is the guy that's his spot to lose. And I don't think he'll even, he would have to be so bad 15, 20 games into the season to lose it. So it is pretty safe, at least from my opinion, to say he's in the top six. Now, is it Draisaitl or McDavid that he's playing with? Well, I mean, listening to him talk to Gregor yesterday on Gregor's show, this is a guy that sounds like he pretty well knows that he's going to be slotted in one of those top two lines, and he knows how to handle playing with McDavid. He knows how to adapt and play with Draisaitl. He knows his role. He figures he doesn't have to change it all that much as long as he puts in the effort. He's going to get his opportunities, and if the confidence is there and he's doing things simply and doing things right, he's going to be A-okay, and the points will come and all of that. So everything is going in a good direction with him. We don't have to overthink it, at least in my opinion, unless he really, really, really comes out playing poorly.
But even if he comes out and let's just say what happens last year, like if last year happens again and it's no shots in 7 or 8 games and things like that, and eventually moved down, right, for a little bit last year, and then got locked back into the top 6. The thing that he's really got going for him, especially if Jesse Puljujarvi's gone, nobody else is taking that job.
Nope.
I know you might already, even if Puljujarvi's still there and they just play him on a third line, Hyman's over on the right side. But if Puljujarvi's not there, it's only Hyman that can play on the right side. And personally, I like him better on the left. So there is there's no competition for Kyler Yamamoto with the way, people view JP in his future or whatever. And then there's Hyman. There's nobody else that's kind of you can say, Xavier Bourgault, maybe in 2 years, but Yamamoto's locked. There's no pressure here. He's locked into the top 6.
Yep. And
even more so than in the past, really.
That's where they're at. And if people are saying, JP's got to get up there, if JP is on the roster come game 1 of the season, he has a chance to push himself up there and vault himself. Even during the preseason, he could do it.
I mean, if they like Hyman on the left side, there's a job sitting there for Jesse Puljujarvi, whether people like him, love him, hate him or not. You know what I mean? And
it'll be up to Puljujarvi to figure it out. Does he want to put in the effort? Is he willing to accept whatever role's thrown his way? Is he willing to accept different types of responsibility? Will he be stubborn or put up a fuss if things aren't going his way? We shall see. Is he going to be able to finish?
If he starts like he did last year and doesn't get hurt, I mean,
no problem.
You could have 2 guys on your right side that could both be very impactful. So
Now, that's hypothetical. If he's around, we'll see.
All right. That's your Boston Pizza appetizer. Appy hour every day, 2 to 5, and then again from 9 until close. And start to make plans to join us Wednesday, August 24th, Capilano location for our first ever Oil Stream live on location at Boston Pizza. We're going to get to a few more of your questions here on the Oil Stream, which, of course, every single episode since we've started this, even before I brought Tommy on, has been brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, and we look forward to continuing partnering with them as they continue to grow. Watch for that new location coming in West Edmonton Mall. It's going to be outstanding. Tommy, a couple of questions that have trickled in. This is an interesting one, and we'll probably get to 1 or 2 here, and then we'll do it for the episode. David Miller, who has a question on Twitter. Actually, I went to kindergarten and all of elementary school with a guy named David Miller, and he was a genius. Like he was reading chapter books in kindergarten. It was insane, like full blown genius, and became one of my best friends in kindergarten. And then we did a big bad wolf play in kindergarten, and I got the lead role. I was the wolf. But I didn't wear any clothes under. I just had my underwear on under the wolf costume, and it wasn't done up all the way at the back, so it was a little embarrassing. But David Miller read the entire story while we all acted it out. Very smart guy, that David Miller.
Wow. I really quickly on David Miller. I worked with a David Miller in the Costco Tire Center.
Really?
Many moons ago. Yeah.
Maybe this is the David. Maybe that's not my David Miller, but that might be this Twitter question, David Miller.
I feel like the David Miller I worked with did not read chapter books in kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
Great guy, but I just have a hunch he didn't.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fair enough. Anyway, this David Miller asks, guys, what would you describe as a failure for this team this upcoming season? Which I think is a pretty interesting question.
Yeah.
Because of the run last year, it totally changes the way you view what you would describe as a failure for this year. So if you're watching on the live stream right now, answer this question for us. It just came in from David. If you're watching, answer it. What would you describe as a failure for this team for this upcoming season? Tommy, what do you got?
The bar has been moved, obviously. And I think, again, totally subjective, in my opinion, a failure for this team in the 2022-2023 season would be not advancing to at least the second round.
Yeah.
Because we know how tough the playoffs are. We know what injuries can do and getting hot at the right time can do. I think they need to at least get to the second round to not, call this season a failure. Now, whether or not they get out of the second round, there's going to be people that say, no, they have to go back to the conference final. I get that. But I think if you get to the second round, and again, it's crazy. And this league, the parity is wild. So I think they need to win a playoff round. And that's a conservative look at it, Dusty. I don't know how you feel about it.
I would. The first thing that popped up is because of last year, people might say, "Oh, you're not taking it seriously enough." But to me, the season is an utter failure if they don't make the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If they make the second round of the playoffs, you're probably playing a really good team there. Maybe not as good as you, maybe a little bit better. And if you lose that series, if you get swept in the second round or something, be a failure as well. But I think 100%. To have success this upcoming season, they have to get to the second round and probably beyond. But if they lose in the first round, I don't care how it goes down. I don't care if it's a sweep. I don't care if it's game 7. I don't care if they had 60 bloody shots per game and people are trying to justify, expected goals here. They should have won this series. I don't care. If they don't get out of the first round this upcoming season, even if they suffer a few injuries along the way, like they should have a forward group at least that can get them out of the first round. So I would say that would be a failure. We got lots of people commenting on this. Oilers and Beer says not getting past the first round. Shane Kenmerica says if all healthy, then not to the conference finals is a failure.
Yeah.
And B-Font says a first round loss would be a failure as well. So, I think we kind of set that heading into the season. We can set that second round. If they become a regular season in the juggernaut and all of a sudden go in as like a first or second seed. Well, I could see them being the first seed in the Pacific, but I'm talking like, let's just say they have an incredible regular season and they're top seed in the West going into the playoffs. If you don't get to the conference final, then that would be a failure.
Good point.
Yeah.
So I guess it's safe to say, like, you got to get past the first round and you got to go deep into the second. Otherwise, that's a failure.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good. And the roster's probably set. Maybe there's a tweak here or there, but you kind of know what they're going to be working with right now. So Good question. We'll get to some other questions as we continue to work our way through the month of August. Like we mentioned earlier, though, make plans to join us. Boston Pizza, August 24th. It's a Wednesday at noon. The Capilano Boston Pizza. Swing on by. We'll be doing the episode of the Oil Stream that day live from that BP's. Would love to have you there. We'll get you some more details on that. Maybe we'll get some prizing lined up and stuff. It'll be a really fun time. I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, as you head into the weekend, get yourself a Popeye's chicken sandwich, right? That's the key. That's what you're gonna want to do. I'm bringing my wife with me to Vancouver. We fly to Vancouver today. She's gonna come hang out in Vancouver for a couple days. I do that Elks Lions game on Saturday night, and she's all excited. She goes, "We're gonna go to Vancouver. We're gonna have sushi and all this stuff." And
Yeah.
I mean, I've known her for 14 years. We've been married for 12. I don't eat sushi. So I'm going to treat her to a nice Popeye's chicken sandwich if I can find one down on the West Coast. We'll see.
You go get Tammy some sushi.
Yeah.
You can have the steak or your chicken.
Well, we already decided that. We're like, we need to get to a steak and seafood place tonight.
Yeah.
So
there's so many good ones in Vancouver. Really, there are. You're in a great spot. I like how you're bringing Tammy down. And don't worry, the show is in adequate hands on Monday because Eric's gone, so it's just me and Walker, post-game ranger.
Just stay on the air, my man. Just stay on the air.
No guarantees, dude.
All right. That's going to do it for another episode of The Oil Stream. Nielsen and Gazzola with you. Tell your friends about it. If you've been watching on the live stream or watching on YouTube or wherever, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find The Oil Stream. And you know what? Next episode, next week, we're going to get to all those Fogel haters. Enough of that. It's absolute garbage.
Finally.
Enough's
hit that
enough.
bell button.
Yes.
Hit that bell button and that thumbs up. Let's get that algorithm going.
Oil Stream brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Tommy, have a good weekend, bud.
You too, Dusty.